Yes, people, we're back again, man, for the final show of the evening, and it is the one that you all loved last week, man. It is the American Dream Show. I got a sick panel for you today, guys, man. I got absolutely sick panel. Before we get into it, though, make sure you drop a like on this video. If you're watching back on replay, hit the like button and give us your thoughts down below. And just do us a favor, someone rapid, yeah? My second channel, More LB, is 2 subscribers away from 300. So surely there's 2 people in here who can just quickly rapid subscribe to the More LB channel. The link is in the chat and get me to 300, man, because I don't know. I just want to get to 300 on that one. Big up TJ. Seen his team get a win this weekend and they're just cruising nice. Jacob, title race is over for him, and Griggs has seen his team win after some pretty depressing couple of weeks. Good to see you, boys. Thanks for jumping on the show, especially TJ. Griggs, first time on. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me on.
Bro. Thanks for me.
I think it's we have to start with the City game, don't we? Game of the season. TJ, let me start with you, man. I mean, what did you make of this one? Obviously, you're in a title race with City at the moment. Did you see sort of weaknesses in City? Did it give you any encouragement, the fact that we scored 4, or did you just see it as a bit of a conceded 4? Sorry, or did you just see it as a bit of a freaky game? What's your sort of take?
I just thought that was a free for all. I mean, these guys must have just walked in and said, "Okay, so we're just not defending today, right? Like neither of us are defending." Like that's okay, cool. Yeah, no, that was the most back and forth game I've watched all season. It was really extremely entertaining. I don't think any more or any less of City, to be honest. I think going away to Stamford Bridge is hard for anybody, even if Chelsea is bad. It's hard for anybody. I mean, it's really hard to snatch a win there. I mean, we drew there as well, so it is what it is. Honestly, if anything, I got more respect for Chelsea. As much as I hate to say it, Chelsea looked very, very good moving forward, and a lot of people are giving that attack guff, but they've scored 8 goals in the last 2 games. So I'm sure the Blueberry Emperor to my lower left knows what I'm talking about here. Return of the Emperor here. But yeah, no, I mean, if anything, it just makes me think that Chelsea are a little bit more of a threat. Maybe they aren't as much of a banner club as people realize. They've had a tougher schedule than a lot of other of the big 6 teams have. So we'll see what happens when they start going up against some of the more relegation fodder clubs, more of the mid-table clubs. I mean, they've played Spurs, they've played us, they played you. So we'll see what they look like when they get into the easier parts of the schedule and see if they can stay consistent. But yeah, no, I mean, it was just an entertaining game, man. Entertaining game. City, I think we're unlucky to concede there at the end. I think it was an incredibly dumb tackle in the box. Cole Palmer, man, what a baller. Can we talk about Cole Palmer real quick? Dude.
Yeah. Well, I was a bit gutted when we let him go, man. I was gutted when we let him go, you know. Like, we got 45 million for him, yeah. So it kind of like made it a little bit easier for the fact that we sold him. 45 million was good price, but I knew this guy was a baller. I seen him in the academy and I knew he was going to cook. And obviously Pochettino's trusting him, and you know he's doing the business. And that was a big penalty to step up, and the fact he's taken that penalty over some of them. Yo, do you guys care about XG, by the way? Because you was obviously just mentioning then, TJ, about
it was
Chelsea
even.
being. Yeah, but check this out, man. Check this out. Now, some people don't care about this, but Chelsea have won 11 out of 12 matches on XG, more than any other Premier League team. So that does back up your point, bro. That Chelsea are actually like, should we stop being like Chelsea no longer the banter club? Like this proves this stat here proves. I know some people don't care about XG, but this stat to me proves that they are a decent team. And I'm not just saying that because we drew against them today. They are a good team, Chelsea. They just can't finish the dinner in some games.
Yeah, I mean, drew against us, absolutely turned over Spurs. I mean, I think we should probably start taking them seriously.
They didn't turn over Spurs. Don't be spreading propaganda. We turned ourselves over. Hey, let's get that correct. Don't act like they did nothing.
Wait, no, I thought you guys were
15 minutes in, we could have been 2-0 up. Don't talk to me like that. Talk to me nicely. That's not how it worked.
That's
my guy. Good day, mate. That's my man.
You guys aren't didgeridooing anything this season. I don't know what
you're worried about. What we're didgeridoing. That's why you're always talking about us when he's talking about City versus Chelsea. You talking about me?
Okay. Way. I have to talk about Spurs. I'm trying to make this into a living. I gotta talk about Spurs. And
you
it's
just
the
love
worst
talking about Spurs. That's
what it
is.
It's the worst part of my week. Unreal.
I think he just said that was the best part of his week, boys. I don't know what y'all.
No,
heard,
I said the worst. This guy makes things up, LB. I don't know if you've seen us on streams before.
I thought we were talking about City versus Chelsea, and here we are talking about Spurs.
Propaganda with this guy. It's propaganda
just because you see an emotional support animal next to me, don't get it twisted. That's not Win the dog. That's just my dog. But carry on.
All right, is that a wolf? I don't think we determined that from last stream.
It's not a wolf. It's not a wolf. But
it's not a wolf. No. Are you scared of wolves? Your team
no, I'm not. I'm not scared of wolves. But what I will tell you is, sometimes you go into the wolf's den, and you can get bit.
And you get bit.
Yeah, you get bit. So be careful now.
No, but yeah, no, that's my take on. That's my take on. Yeah, no, City versus Chelsea, man. I just think we might need to start taking the Chelsea folks a little bit more seriously. That's my take on it.
Yeah,
great game.
I actually agree with TJ because, going into the match versus Spurs, before that match, I was looking, there was a streak where they had, I think, 3 matches where they'd won 3 in a row. And so I was looking at that saying, okay, I know Pochettino can get a locker room reading off of the same hymn sheet. And if there's enough talent and enough young talent that buy into whatever the message is Pochettino's feeding them, which I believe to be fraudulent, but that's neither here nor there. But whatever that message is, if they're all believing the same thing, then they can look like a side like we saw versus the eventual, what we're all saying should be the title winners, right? They went and did that. They did it versus Spurs. They're putting in results versus these big clubs. And really, if you're going to be, I'm just saying they look good versus, they look good versus big clubs. And that's just a sign of some great mentality that's really being born there, I think. And as much as I don't want to give him props, like, I've seen Pochettino do it firsthand, get a bunch of players and get them operating on the same level. And once you really do that, I don't think they're completely firing on all cylinders. Obviously, conceding 4 goals at home is not ideal, but to get 4 back versus City, I think is still a very admirable thing. I gave them their credit for the match versus Spurs. I think they should get their credit for their match versus City. They were absolutely, I think, playing above what I thought they would be doing. So
let me ask you a serious question then, bro, because there's a lot of City fans, like when I was doing a watch along and that, and doing the player ratings, a lot of City fans like proper gutted about this result, and obviously going to be disappointed, right? We didn't win, but like, so are you basically saying then that these City fans who are proper down about this result should sort of just take a step back and go, you know what, actually, it's not the worst part in the world, or is that not what you're saying?
From a City perspective, I think you should feel like I wanted to walk away there with 3 points. There was, I think, 2 or 3 different chances where y'all were ahead and failed to stay ahead. And I think Rodri and Ruben Diaz are the 2 people I'm looking at as I thought they were better. I was, this may just be me not being able to get over it, but Harry Kane was robbed Player of the Year when he won Golden Boot and Playmaker of the Year. They gave it to Ruben Diaz. Now, the Ruben Diaz I saw out there today, I'm wondering what criminal activity is going on at the Premier League, but that's neither here nor there as well.
Who's better, Ramiro or Ruben Diaz?
I would say no.
Oh, come on, that's an
an easy question. That's not even close. That's not even close.
I mean, Ruben Diaz looked pretty bad today. I guess that's recency bias. I know. Hey, allow the recency bias. Agendas will agenda. I love Romero prop. Hey, Lionel Messi said Romero's the GOAT. Am I supposed to think that I know more than Lionel Messi?
He says, Martinez is the best goalkeeper in the world, too. We don't trust everything Messi says.
I know, because he's wrong. That's Vicario. That's the best goalkeeper in the world right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Shameless, man.
Now who's running agendas?
Hey, I said agendas will agenda. But in all seriousness, Rodri, I thought, he was giving away some silly stuff there in the middle of the park. There was one moment where his pass just kind of found, I don't know if it was Raheem Sterling or someone in a very dangerous area outside of the box. And it's those moments where I hold him to a high standard because I believe him to be the best DM in the league, arguably maybe in the world. I mean, I know you could look at some other clubs like Real Madrid and such, but for me, really impressed by City. I thought they showed a lot of heart and a lot of gumption to go and really just hang in there. And every time they got knocked back, they continued to fight back and get. And to me, I don't know if it's more City allowing it or Chelsea going and taking it. Because for the most part, I wasn't upset with anyone on City more than Ruben Diaz defensively. I thought everyone was hanging in there pretty well for the time. Mudryk, on one hand was kind of taking a little bit advantage of Kyle Walker, but I don't know. I just think that this is a game made from fine margins, and it was one of those. I think a draw is even. Like as a neutral, I enjoyed every minute of it. It was one of those things. My wife was like, "Hey, can you come help me with this?" I'm like, you got this is one of those games like I can't take my eyes off of it type of thing. I know we're about to play Mario, but let me just finish this match. Like I enjoyed it as a neutral. I very much enjoyed it. I also like the fact that both teams got a point. I think that is also a best situation for Spurs as well. Looking forward. I know y'all talking about we're down and out. Look, the season is 12 rounds, and we've only gone a few rounds. I don't think 2 results make or break a season at this juncture. As we say, everyone says I'm not looking at the table in November, but now the Spurs losing, everyone's talking about the table.
You guys were, but that's because you guys were like taking screenshots of the table and putting them as your backgrounds. And
well, we didn't make a
your
T-shirt or
thumbnails
nothing, and then take a nice Christmas photo for the family.
Oh
We didn't
my
do that.
God! Don't loop me in with that Cecil guy. Don't loop me in. I've met him though. He's actually a really nice guy. But still, don't loop me in with those guys.
Yeah, no, he's sound. Yo, Griggs, man. You was in a bit of a weird situation today, weren't you, bro? Because like, United kind of wanted Chelsea. Did you? Yeah, you wanted. No, you wanted City to win.
I wanted Chelsea to win. I can't lie. I'm not really.
You did. You're not that bothered about it.
No, I'm not really that bothered. But I think with Chelsea, first of all, I think someone tweeted it. I saw on my timeline. They said Chelsea played to the level of their opposition, which I think has been their like kind of statement of the season. Every time they play a Big Six team, they look incredible. Liverpool, first game of the season, they outplayed them to a certain point. Arsenal, they dominated them for about 60 minutes, and then Arsenal, they made the mistake. City today, that's probably one of the best games you'll see against Man City because I haven't seen City look that defensively weak since the day before Ruben Diaz got bought when Leicester beat you 5-2 in that lockdown season. That's I call it the game that made Pep pragmatic. After that, Pep became scared of like playing. He wanted to drop his line a little bit lower, play with more center backs. Ruben Diaz got bought the day after, and he won Player of the Year. He was the best center back in the league that year. And yeah, they just look incredible. But when they play against the likes of Brentford, the Bournemouth of the world, they don't look good. So I think that's like the next level. They're like kind of Robin Hood this year. They steal from the rich, but then they play the poor, and they did lose. So it's really interesting. But I think for City, though, the one thing they have to see is I think they look a little defensively weak than I expected. I expected them this year to be by far the best defensive team in the world, especially after you bought Guardiola for 90 mil, let's say. I don't know the exact price, but they haven't kept as many clean sheets. I thought they would maybe not break like Chelsea's record of that 15 goals conceded, but I thought they would probably be around like the 20 mark, 20 goals conceded in the league. But I think that's going to be a lot higher. So I think that's the first thing they have to look. Because I don't know how many. I think you've kept like 4 clean sheets in the league this year, maybe. I'm not 100% how much.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how exactly what it is, but they're a little less defensively weak. And Ruben Diaz, that was his worst game you'll see from Ruben Diaz all year. I don't think he could play worse. Bro has sold them with that fake shot. That's incredible. Got to give him credit. But I think for City, it's interesting because I didn't expect Chelsea to play that advanced, but their press was incredible. And I think Jacob would probably say that Poch's best like attribute when he was a coach is coaching his high press. That's where he like imprinted on Spurs right away. And you're seeing that at Chelsea too. That's the first thing he's installed. But you also saw the naiveties of Chelsea, like that free header that Akanji got. You cannot allow that kind of free header. That's poor. And the counterattack, Caicedo was getting dragged all around the pitch. He had no idea how to stop a counterattack today, which shows that they still have some things to fix. So they could take a bright spot from it. But it's clear that that's a team that even though they spent £1 billion and everyone expects them to like contend, they still have so much stuff to like fix. They have so many players to like to develop. And that's for City. At the end of the day, if you lead a game 3 times, I think it was like 3 times you took us to the league, you expect to get the 3 points, but you take the point. I think you're tied for first now, or you're like 1 point ahead of Liverpool.
1 point ahead, yeah. And
you have them next. So if you beat that, then you go 4 points, then it's still fine. I know a lot of people said that on Twitter saying 3-team title race. I still don't think it's a title race. I still think City are by far the clear favorites, in my opinion, until like somebody really, really beats them definitively. Especially at Etihad. Like if Liverpool get a result at the Etihad, then I'm like, okay, maybe some warning signs. But for right now, I think City just take the point, international break, recoup, another 2 weeks rest, and that's it.
Yeah. No, listen, from my point of view, City point of view, I'd say that like I'm disappointed that we didn't win today because we went, like you said, we went ahead 3 times. But I can also say that was a shocking defensive display, both from the defenders and the midfield as a sort of midfield defensive unit was awful. So then it's weird because I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, we should have won, you know what I mean? But on the other hand, I'm like, I'm just buzzing we got out there with a point because on another day, we might have lost a game. So it's a bit of a weird one. I'll come away from it disappointed. Defensively, really poor, but we are still top of the league. We're above Liverpool by a point. And obviously, we've got 2 weeks now that we can relax, rest, and hopefully Pep can figure it out. But one thing that I would say, Briggs, is, bro, I actually agree with you, man, on the defense. Not just today. I've said this before. I actually thought that defensively we were going to be a lot better than we were. Now, people will look to the table and go, our defense haven't conceded that many goals. But if you look at some of the goals that we have conceded, like, it has been sloppy at times. And I thought I was eyeing up that record that you was on about then, the Mourinho record in 2004, was it? No, 2005 or something like that. But yeah, I don't know why it is. I mean, today, before the game, when the team lineup come out, every City fan was basically buzzing with the team lineup. Everyone was like, oh my God, this is such an attacking lineup, because we never really see that. He'll never play that again. And today was evidence of why Pep Guardiola doesn't open up games, because that's what you get, a 4-4. Great for the neutral, but we didn't win. If we would have gone there today and maybe not played, I don't know, Alvarez in midfield and play Kovacic in midfield, the game's a lot tighter. We have more control of the game. I'm not saying we necessarily win the game, but it's certainly not a 4-4. You know what I mean? We have much more control of it. He opened it up today. Why did he open it up? I don't know. I mean, you have to ask him that. Did he do it because he just felt that we could go there and blow them away? Didn't think Chelsea were that good? I don't know.
I think he also thought a little bit that Chelsea were going to play open, and we did see that. Chelsea were very open. There was lots of space. Once you got the ball beyond the action, there's ounces of space for everybody to play. So I think a little bit of it was they both wanted to show up to play a certain style, and they just matched up where they were going to allow chances both ways. And honestly, again, it makes for a great showing for the neutral like myself.
Right. No, that was incredible. And I think I was more Chelsea knows that they're not going to be able to just sit back and defend against these guys. They did exactly what they needed to do to get a result, and that was attack. I don't think you're not going to sit back against City, and very few teams can sit back against City defend their way to a result. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. But
what's funny, TJ, I seen some United fans after the game saying, we just sat there basically and just took an L against City in the derby, and look at Chelsea actually tried to play properly, and they got a point. So
I did say before that Manchester derby, I kind of did want to play a little bit more of a high press against City, because I think they can get caught. I think there are some mistakes in the City team. Obviously, they don't make as many mistakes as other teams, but especially when they're the away team and you're the home team, especially like in a derby, I wanted to high press, but we don't have the personnel. I think Chelsea have better personnel than us. I know they're below us in the table.
Yeah.
But I've been saying all year that I think Chelsea are a better team than us. That gets me cooked every single time, because every time I say that, Chelsea concede a goal somehow. But what can I do about that? But I do think they have a good personnel. I said the naiveties, like Caicedo always getting dragged out of position. The free header to Kanji. Thiago Silva made a couple mistakes as well. Cucurella always gets cooked somehow. That guy does not know how to defend. He always backtracks when he defends. And that gets you cooked every single time. So they're a good team. They're a young team, and you could tell right away. They're even when they play good, you can see the weaknesses in that team.
Yeah, no, absolute facts. Guys, if you want to see some more on the City game, go check out the player ratings that I did after the game. And obviously, me and Nobbins will be live tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock UK time, doing a little bit more of a debrief on that one. But it's time to turn our attention to a pretty mad game and a pretty crazy situation, which is oh no.
Never get tired of this. Never get tired of this.
I mean, guys, look at this timing, man. What the hell? I mean, Spurs got the early goal, bad luck, because we all know that is bad luck when you score that early. Conceding 2 goals in added time. I mean, this has just been a horrendous week for Spurs, hasn't it? I mean, this has just been an absolute disaster. Players getting injured left, right, and centre. Suspensions galore. You're now sitting 4th. You've got Villa up next, which I think is going to be an incredible tough game. I think you've got City, Newcastle, West Ham as well in there, somewhere like that. I mean, Jacob, bro, I mean, I was on Football Terrace the other day, and they asked me about Spurs. I said, genuinely, not even try to like murk Tottenham fans or Tottenham, I think this period that you're in now is damage limitation. I think any hopes of a title are over, and it's just about not falling away, because people might look at it and laugh, but your fixtures are horrendous, and you've lost Maddison, you've lost Van der Ven, Romero's still out, obviously, with the suspension. I genuinely think that this period, if you can just stay in the top 4 by the time that you get the players, I think that'd be great. What's your sort of views, bro, on Spurs right now?
Well, Where to begin? Where to begin? Look, I think you used a great word in regards to Spurs and title. It was all hope. It was never real thought or legit feeling. It was just like, hey, look at us, right? I just turned 33. We're top of the league. What a day. What a day November 1st was. So I got that. I got my birthday trophy. And I don't know what else I really look. I've always said, even when we were flying high, 10 matches in, 9 matches in, can't remember now when the Chelsea road bump, I'm saying road bump was not collapsing the wagon. The wheel fell off the wagon, and we just got to work on trying to put the wheel back on. And right now, we are not doing that. So, how I feel about Spurs at this moment is we've been handed a handful of setbacks. There's a core 8 of the Tottenham Hotspur 11 that I think if anything happened to them, we look a vastly different side. And we are missing 4 of that 8. So when you're missing 4 of the 8 core players that make you what you were or were trying to be, you're going to look a lot different. Look, we had no creativity because it all left when James Madison was out. With no James Madison, no creativity. Heung-min Son was left to his own devices. No real service either, I would argue. But for the most part, ineffective. And then you look at, Brendan Johnson, 15-minute FC is what we've been the last 2 weeks. And it's very unfortunate we're heading into an international break because this is just really going to leave a bad taste, I think, in a lot of fans' mouths. But for me, my expectations in the summer were always to do what we were doing. Now, 2 results doesn't necessarily dictate my expectations changing or getting down on myself. So for me,
what are your expectations? What are your expectations?
My expectations was I wanted to see a clear ethos and philosophy from the first team down to the U7s. I wanted a clear idea and identity of how we play football. So that way, if this does happen where James Madison is out, there's a kid that's been playing it for 6 years in the system. He knows exactly what we need. Just plug him in and he's good to go. That's what I would like to see. So the fact that I've watched talent from Spurs Academy go to these other clubs, and eventually I think Madueke went to Chelsea for like upwards of 35 mil. So these are players that there is some quality there that I would like to utilize in these moments where your squad depth is so thin. Now in the summer, when the summer window closed, I knew for a fact how weak and thin this squad was. But our first 11 was firing on all cylinders higher than any expectation I had had. So I've always equated it to, I've walked into the casino, I hit big on the first slot machine, and I'm playing with house money. Well, now the house money's run out because we're missing everybody. Now I'm starting to, maybe I go dip into my wallet, see if I can hit big again. These slot machines were nice to me. Maybe I go dig in. And look, I've always felt that we were a paper-thin squad, and I never felt like that if there was an injury, we would be okay because we had so-and-so. We don't have so-and-so. We have Lo Celso. That's who we have. And that's an unfortunate event when we're talking about, can he be that creative force? Because I think no. I think he is an awful player. I've never seen him do anything positive in a Spurs shirt. Argentina, maybe. In Spain, where I think his level is, yes, he has.
It's like a theme for you guys.
He's like, what?
It's like a theme, like Argentinian players that show out for their country.
Don't go there. Romero's the GOAT. We've already talked about this. We discussed this. Moving along. I was saying Spurs, at this moment, we are missing a lot of the things that were making us look good. And again, I say look good because Palace, we were not good. Fulham, we were not good. Luton, we were not good. These are teams where we should go out there and be implementing our game plan to the highest degree and being effective. Now, we were trying to implement somewhat, and that was again what we saw with Wolves. Wolves are not a bad side by any stretch of the imagination. Every match before the Chelsea hiccup in the road, I'm not saying downfall, before that happened, every single match we had afforded 2 to 3 on average chances for the opposition to eat their dinner. Now, if they did or not, that's not my point. Is our defense, even when we had our great games this season so far, we were still affording chances to clubs that just couldn't necessarily put the ball in the back of the net. Now, when you get up to a squad that can or has the resiliency to put it out in the last dying embers of a match, then that's what you get, a 2-1 loss in stoppage time. And then, you know what? Wolves deserve that. They were looking the better side the entire match. the entire match. We were awful. We did not deserve a point. I was happy to get out there with a 1-0 win and it'd be nasty, scrappy win. I remember around 70, 80th minute being like, well, this wasn't quite what I expected our response to be. But, hey, with Eric Dyer, I guess a 1-0 victory, I'll take it. It's a clean sheet. And then, boom, Sarabia. I was like, oh, my God, what a goal. And then you could just see the crowd, the Wolves, everyone start looking a little bit more and it wasn't so dead anymore. And then I just was like, okay, if we get out of here with a point, I guess that's okay. If we get out of here with a point. And this is a stark difference how I felt versus Chelsea. Because how I felt versus Chelsea was I was proud that we went out there. I think we did a show and then the thing happened at Chelsea and then now we're doing this show. So for last week, I'm pretty sure I sounded a lot different with my confidence going into that Chelsea match. So things have changed. Expectations have not, though. My expectations for the season, LB, I remember I was on a show with you, I believe on This Is Football, and you said, I think you said to me that my expectations should change based on what we have been seeing. And I remember saying that, like, I don't think that they should. Because I never once said that I felt a target was top 4. Now I think a realistic target could be top 4, and maybe that is our direction. But I've never wanted to put a target because I just said, look, Ange Postecoglou needs to come in here and have at least 4 windows, and he's had 1, so 3 more windows until I'm saying this is either not working and we need to look at something different, or I just think we just continue with what we're doing. Let Ainge steer the ship while myself and other fans may question what he's doing. I'm just trying to look at the bright side here. We don't have we don't have a win now manager. No, not just Conte. We don't just have a win now manager. We have a guy who's here trying to lay down the foundation and build us something. Even when we were top of the league, what he said was, I think the position doesn't mean anything because we've achieved nothing. All we've done is lay some really good foundation work. And that is what I'm taking some solace in, because that's what I wanted to see. When you asked me what I wanted to see.
Do you think that Levy will actually give him the money though in the transfer windows? Like you can give him all the transfer windows you want, but he never really backed Conte. He never really backed any of the managers that he had before. So what do you think is going to change about with Ange? I mean, obviously you got the Harry Kane money if he hasn't already blown it on, some hotel that's going next to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But
I think it was a cinema this time.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't care. I didn't know if it was like an underground swimming pool or whatever you're putting under there. But do you think he's actually going to back Ange in the transfer window? Because you guys have shown that you need depth. I'm not even taking the piss. We need depth too. You guys, do you think he will? Because I've been hearing,
I think
he will. Your fan base is divided.
I know they are, because a lot of people have been scoring for 23 years by this man, and I understand why they feel that way. But there's a few things that would indicate why I think he actually will go ahead and do something different this January in the way Ainge, first of all, has operated on budgets that are minuscule. The reason why he couldn't get Matoma at Celtic was because Brighton were willing to drop M's. He didn't have that. But what did he do? He found players. He has a profile, an identity, and positions that necessarily aren't the big buck buys. They're the guys off in this area, and we're starting to put some of those. We signed Alejo Veliz. When's the last time we went and dipped into the Argentinian league? Like we are doing things different. We have been putting people in place. Johan Lange and Scott Munn are 2 people now in between Daniel Levy and Paratici and the manager. So there's now more people, and some are saying that they're skeptical because they think more chefs in the kitchen ain't going to make a better dish. I think that more people between Daniel Levy and the footballing decisions, the better, because this man doesn't know jack about ball, but he does know about how to balance an Excel sheet. So let him balance his Excel sheet in his ivory tower while the men about football get over here and do football activity. And that's what I'm hoping after 3-4 windows, then it will. And you mentioned the Harry Kane money, TJ. We came out with that statement from David Ornstein, I believe it was, saying that we've already spent the Harry Kane money. I don't think that's true. I think that's a smokescreen. I think that's don't expect to add 10, 15, 20 M's on your price tag just because we sold the world's best striker. And I'm saying the world's best striker, and I've been saying that, but now they all want to say it because he's out there performing at Bayern. But hey, that ain't neither here nor there.
I said it before too, but I'll just support him a little bit more now that he's at Bayern. I think he's a great player. I'll be a little bit more vocal about it until he comes to the
Fantastic.
Emirates.
I'm glad you can enjoy the greatness that is Harry Kane.
He is great. No, he's great in the Bundesliga. It's a fun watch. But yeah, no, Daniel Levy, man, I'm telling you, a lot of people are taking their tune on him.
I think Jacob's got a good point though. Like,
go ahead, Griff.
I think the difference between Ange and Levy and then Conte and Jose, for example, those guys want specific players. They don't want profiles. They want specific players because they've been managing for so long, so they know who's around the block and stuff like that. I think Ange is more versatile to a sense. At Celtic, they just recruited Japanese players, young players that were like 20 to 24, let's say, and he brought them into the system and he cooked with them. That was their philosophy over there. And because he also worked in Japan, I think, Australia,
and they pull from Portuguese leagues
there
as well.
That too. I think at Spurs, obviously, I don't know if Paratici's still involved because he has his own allegations and stuff like that he has to.
Oh yeah, sorry, he's allegedly involved.
Yeah,
allegedly.
He's got his own stuff to worry about.
Joe, 100 M's on Joe Lewis's lawyers.
I'm not saying nothing, but he was at Club Bruges scouting Antonio Nusa. So make that, but allegedly he was doing that. Allegedly.
I just say about this about Spurs. Yeah, I think they have to spend money. You have to spend money in January because, listen, your next foot. You were just talking then, Jacob. Yeah, about even in the games that you was winning, you was conceding what like three or four
chances on average.
And you're talking, I guess, by that you're talking kind of big chances. So then I'm looking at your next games against Villa, City, even West Ham, Tottenham, Newcastle. Sorry, like I'm looking at this. Isak probably going to be back for that game as well. I'm looking at this thinking. There is a serious chance, that Tottenham could go through this next month or so with some real bad results. And even if you drop out the top four, which is possible, you're not going to be a million miles away from the top four. Even if like this next month goes like horrendous for you, you're probably going to be like 6 points away from top four. Let's just say it goes that way. There is absolutely no scenario which Levy can surely get away with not spending. Your net spend in the summer was 130 million euros, but that also includes the Dejan cash and the Pedro Porro cash. So it's probably like 60 million euros.
Which both were not Ange Postecoglou players neither. That was a club buy when the season ended before he was even our manager.
You have to spend the money. He has to get the money out, sure. Because I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the expectations, but for me, the only expectation for Spurs has to be to get in that top four. And especially where you are now, and I know what you're saying, you're maybe a bit reluctant to put that on as a target, but when you're currently sat in fourth position, even with the injuries you've got, I just don't see how top four cannot be the target, bro. Top four has to be the target. And because that's the target, he has to spend money in the summer. Surely that has to be the case.
And in January. I'm saying for at least the next three windows, he needs to do the best job that we can at getting these old players out. Look at how many people started versus Wolves and tell me that they weren't here last year doing the same dumb shit, and that's why we were dropping points last year. This is nothing new to me. Carabao Cup, everyone's like, Ainge made a mistake. I'm like, y'all are clowns because he did not make a mistake. He put on full display, Daniel Levy, this is what you gave me as my backups, and look at them. Look at them. And sometimes you got to put, when a dog takes a piss on the carpet, you got to rub his nose in it a little bit and say, this is no, bad dog. And then, that's what that was. I'm fully convinced that's what the Carabao Cup was, because he even said in a press conference, I have to see if I can rely on these players. And guess what? He cannot. And then we saw it. He had to rely on these players
and determine that.
But that is not his system. You're talking about a park the bus system, counterattacking system. That's not his.
No, I'm just saying he should have known that these players are shit.
But that's irrelevant, TJ. For him to go back
it's not.
and say,
how is it irrelevant?
I'm trying to tell you why it's irrelevant. If you would quiet down, I'm trying to educate you, son. This is what. Look.
I don't need any educating. I've been watching this team as much as you have for the past 2-3 years.
But what I'm saying is, since you have TJ, tell me, how did Jose Mourinho set up? How did Nuno Espirito Santo set up? How did Conte set up? Now tell me, is that the same way?
No, of course not.
So then how could you say that?
Why would you?
Hang on, let me speak.
Go ahead,
how could you say that for a fact this player or that player cannot work in your system? You don't. You can't say that because
defensive players in an attacking system. I don't need a book or an education to know that Eric Dyer is not going to do well in an offensive team.
Right, but if that's the only option that you have, what is he supposed to? The only legitimate center back that we have outside of an 18-year-old.
That wasn't his only option in the Carabao Cup. We were talking about the Carabao Cup.
I was talking about the big picture of him relying on people beyond our starting 11.
Okay.
My point
All right.
being is that this man is using the tools that he has at his disposal. And when people are like, "Oh, he's not getting a tune out of that tool has been ineffective for years." You said you've watched it, TJ, so you should know. Yes, it is an ineffective tool, but that is all that he's got. And so he's using what he's got. Ashley Phillips is a guy that we signed from Blackburn. He's 18 years old, and he's been playing with our academy. And that is our backup, our legitimate backup. We have 2 center backs that are legitimately healthy on our roster. What is the man supposed to do? So I don't blame him for the Wolves. I don't blame him for the Carabao Cup neither. So when I'm looking at the bigger picture here, we are laying the foundations. And LB, to address your point about the expectations of top 4, like I think it would still be a long shot. I think it would still be a long shot for
Do
us
you
to
really
make
think
top
it's a
4.
long shot, bro? I don't think it's a long
We've gotten
shot.
some good results. We've known that this storm is coming. This being the schedule of, honestly, I thought the storm would come when City came to town, when Villa came to town. I thought that's when it would be, the storm would begin, but it started a little bit earlier. So we weren't completely prepared. And look, we got banged up, and now we're heading into the storm, and we ain't even got a shelter. So it's going to be tough, but I think the early results in the season, while they would, the points may favor the performances, I think that will allow us to weather this enough to where potentially, yeah, we could get top 5. I've said at the summer, if I had to put a number on it, top 6, top 7 would be my expectations with a new manager who doesn't have the type of players in a system that he wants to play. And we're seeing on full display players that he doesn't want, that he's forced to play, and they're playing his system ineffectively. That's why he doesn't want these players. So when I see it, I knew this would happen. I just thought it would be later.
Jacob, let me ask you a question then. So do you think that Ange needs to, obviously it's early probably to do it in the summer, given he's only just taken the job, but when he gets into January, when he gets into the summer, do you think that Ange needs to be a bit more firm with the club and say, you've got to get rid of these players? Because obviously, some of these players that you talked about, Dyer, Højbjerg's probably another one. These sort of players who are just ass. Do you think that Ange needs to sort of just have a little bit of a head-to-head with Levy and say, these players are not good enough, we need to get rid of them and get some more players in? And obviously let the club make the signings because he can probably just deal with the profiles.
I think it is, yes, he does have to do that. But he also, I think, understands the reality of you can't get rid of 10 players in one window if they're not players that anybody wants. We loaned Joe Rodon to Leeds. We loaned Tanguy Ndombele to Galatasaray. These are players that nobody wants, and we're still paying their wages because we just don't want them in the locker room. And so there's been years and years of awful business. We've been chasing the same thing that, when we got to the Champions League final, it was like, great, that is how we should be operating. But we did not sustain it or back it up to sustain it. And we're seeing the product of years and years of mismanagement of a first team. And this is what we're left with. So for me, I think, yes, you were right. And I know that Ainge knows that and that Ainge will continue to do that. But at some point, he can't get rid of everybody. Dyer's contract runs out in a year. That's why when people say, oh, well, why did you sell Sanchez instead of Dyer? He is diabolical. When you sell Sanchez instead of Dyer, it's like, well, Sanchez had a couple years on his contract, so you could still get something for him. No one's going to buy Eric Dyer when they know in the summer he's a free agent. So I think that when it comes to Eric Dyer, that's just another one of those we gotta just. Have you ever seen the movie? I think it's Annabelle, where it's like there's a haunted doll, and no matter where you put the doll, no matter where you go, the doll finds you. It finds its way back into your home. That is Eric Dyer. I was like, in the summer, I wanted him. If I had to keep Sanchez or Dyer, give me Sanchez. He's not good, but he's better than Dyer. He at least has something, a physical aspect to his game. He's not just a floppy.
Sanchez just beat United a few weeks ago.
That's what I'm saying. Sanchez, he had 2 assists, I think, in that.
Sorry, that wasn't
well.
Sorry, Gracie, that was
he technically had the game-winning assist from a header from like 60 yards away.
Yeah, so we still got some clearing out to do. You can't, when you have a house that's been mismanaged and run down, and you got to replace everything from plumbing to electric to walls, drywall, insulation, AC. There's a lot of work you got to do, and you can't do it overnight. We've done a little bit, and we were like, hey, we can at least live in this house, and then the storm's coming in. and took off a little bit of that roof that we thought we didn't need to fix. But guess what? The roof also needs work now too. It's a big project. I'm here for the long haul. I have been. How can I not be? And Ainge Postecoglou still gives me hope that we're at least got a guy who knows how to rebuild what we're doing or get us on our feet again, you know? And I think the results, again, we were flying high. I've never gone on any platform and said we are in a title race. All I've ever said was, you can't say that we are not, because mathematically, and some people really didn't like that response because they're like, oh, so you're saying we're in a race? No, we're just mathematically we could still win the league. Mathematically, we could still get relegated. Both of those are still like possible. They're not impossible. And so, I guess it's just semantics at a certain point. But for me, my expectations on Spurs are just keep building, keep seeing the ethos. And I subscribe to a fraudulent streaming service called Spurs Play, where they show the academy games, and I watch the academy, and they are starting to turn the page.
I think they're first
playing the same way of
21 league.
They are, and in U18s, and the women just got up to third or something like. But they weren't first at one point. Everyone was in first at one point for Spurs. We had a good November 1st, I'm telling you. But the Spurs Academy.
That's the most Spursy thing I've ever heard, bro.
We had a great November 1st.
That's like when Arsenal last year
Well,
had
that's my birthday, so
semi-final, the FA Youth Cup final, and then like something in the Premier League, and they lost all of them too.
All of them, literally all of them.
Another good November 1st was Gareth Bale on his lone season back. He scored a header for the game winner versus Brighton. That was a November, I try and take my wins where I can because I know there's not much to look forward to other than watching this slow rebuild. And I think that's where I'm at with it. If we get fifth and we somehow get Champions League, I would be not excited because Champions League to me, I don't want to play in a competition I can't win. I'd rather go Ainge Postecoglou in the Conference League. Now I like that. I know some people will laugh. Some people will say, oh, Conference League is this, that, and the other. I don't really care. It's a European trophy. Grow out there and grab it. I wanted it that first year.
Jacob.
But wouldn't having Champions League help you like in terms of your recruitment? That broadens your horizon of like who you can actually
we got Christian Romero. Messi said he's the GOAT. We got Christian Romero with Conference League. All right.
Well, this is
what did you do? What did you do with
players? And we don't go and
you
grab these high profile. We're not trying to get Mbappe. We know that's not gonna happen. We don't need
like
Champions
for example,
League. Look,
like Anusa, for example, right? You're looking at Anusa, right?
Yeah.
What if we let's say what if we get Champions League, right? Let's say for example, Man United get Champions League. Arsenal get Champions League. I think they might be looking. Liverpool, I think, are looking at him. They always look at wingers. Those kind of clubs will have that advantage, especially they already have it financially, but then also the prospect of having Champions League, it just lowers you in that kind of term because all these young players that Spurs might be looking at, all those other clubs are gonna be looking at them. Benfica might look at Nusa, for example, and then
but look at some of their squads, and then they look at ours and say, where can you get more playing time? Where is there the gaps in these positions where they need a clear? Look at Mickey Van de Ven. Liverpool was sniffing around him, and then they ended up saying no, but he still knew that he could play first team ball. We had him for 3 days, and then he went and started versus Brentford. So I have no doubt. To me, and also I look at Champions League when we did get it. Who did we lure? A free agent, Perisic?
Got Basuma, to be fair.
Got Basuma, but he was for 35. There was some things going on in his personal life that made him a little bit cheaper. No one wanted to take that gamble on him, but we did, and guess what? It somewhat worked. I mean, that's another story. Basuma's looked a shell of himself the past couple of weeks, but what we're talking about, like, I don't think that the difference between Conference League and Champions League, as far as like who that's going to lure, that's not going to affect. Like, we're not going for those type of players. We're going for the guys that you may not. I haven't heard of, that I'm now looking up, trying to find out. We're starting the trend on this data approached method of recruiting and scouting, and honestly, it's led to some good. I would say adequate signing so far. Destiny has proven to be a decent left back.
Can I ask one question? Can I ask one question? Because we talked about how many chances Spurs are giving up, especially in the run that you guys had before you ran into all these injuries. You guys were giving up a lot of chances. I think you guys were like top 10 in chances against, or quality chances against. Do you think Vicario can keep up this pace?
Absolutely. I absolutely do think Vicario could keep up this pace, because a goalkeeper, you don't get worn down as the season goes. I played goalkeeper. I'm going to tell you, you don't exude as much. You're not running,
I'm not even saying that it's going to be his fault. Necessarily. I just think that he's on really, really top form, and that if that form dips a little bit, especially with that back line in front of him for the next three matches at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, any goalkeeper with Eric Dyer in front of him is going to look a little bit different than they did without Eric Dyer in front of him. I'll tell you that much. When you don't trust the man, I played goalkeeper all my life. Unfortunately, they didn't want to see Chunky Zlatan up top. They wanted to see me between the sticks. So unfortunately, I was played goalkeeper since I was a kid all my life. And if you don't trust the two dudes in front of you, then you're obviously not going to play like yourself, and the results at the end of the day aren't going to look like they said. So for me, he's going to find out real quickly that there's a bum in front of him that can't play ball, and he's going to be very frustrated. He's going to have this is the storm. He's a young cat. I think he'll have a conversation with someone and say, yeah, well, he's leaving in the summer, so just be nice to him and sign the card. And he'll sign the goodbye, Eric. It was nice to meet you. Good riddance. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll help him. If he can go in January, better. But either way, we still ain't got no center back, so we have to do business. I think there was a question, like maybe 15 minutes ago, you said, like, surely he has to open the wallet. I think the fact that we're dropping points now and now the table's shifting to where we look like we can get to the top four, maybe that is the little fish on or the worm on a hook, metaphorically, for Daniel Levy to say, you invest, we can get top four, we can get top five. You just have to invest, because look at Chelsea, look at him, look at them. And if you invest a little bit in January, I think that he was already going to regardless. But if we were top of the league in January, he'd be looking at us saying, why should I? Why do I need to?
No, I agree with you. And the only other point, because I want to just finish off on the United, the only point I'd make is if you don't spend in January, City are going to be ahead of Tottenham. So will Liverpool, so will Arsenal next season. Villa will keep on spending money. You know, United will throw as much money as possible at it. Newcastle will throw more money at it. Like, I almost feel that Spurs have to keep, investing every transfer window. Otherwise, they could fall themselves, even though they're playing well under Ange, they could fall away from the pack. But listen, I want to move on to finish off with United. I said it's been a tough week for Jacob Spurs, but United have been through the ringer the last couple of weeks. Did manage, though. Look at that smile on his face. Did manage to get a huge 1-0 victory against mighty Luton yesterday.
I mean, clubs didn't get 3 points against them. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah. First. All I would say on this, bro.
Just wait till you go to Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, true. Going away is different. Yeah. All I'm saying is, do you think the hate's been a bit overblown? I mean, look at United's form. 4 wins and 1 loss in the last 5. You currently sat 6. Now, you are 5 points behind Spurs in 4th. But it's not a major disaster. I mean, what do you say with United? A bit weird, isn't it, United at the moment, bro? Bit of a weird vibe.
We're the funniest club in the world because we owe the Premier League goals, technically, because we're at negative. We have the same goal difference as Everton, by the way, who are like 15th place. Yeah, we're 6th. Villa and Spurs play next, so one of them two is dropping points no matter what, or both of them. You guys play Liverpool, so one of you two dropping points. Arsenal play Brentford away. That's a tough matchup. Newcastle play Chelsea, so Newcastle. So a lot of teams above us next match day. If we beat Everton away, which isn't guaranteed because Goodison away scares me too, it could be tricky. But I think it's been better. I think this week, obviously, we lost to Copenhagen, which is an embarrassment, but we were good for 40 minutes before Rashford got a red card, which is a controversial one. Whether it was a red card or not, it was like controversial. And I saw some positive signs. I saw some positive signs yesterday. Obviously, I'd expected more than a 1-0 win, but like I said, our forwards just don't score goals. We're like Tuchel's Chelsea in 2020. Everyone scores except the forward. Center back scores, midfielders score, fullback score. Haaland can't score in the Premier League, even though he's the top Champions League goal scorer. He has more Champions League goals than Harry Kane and Haaland, but yet somehow in the Premier League, he can't bag a goal. Rashford's in the worst form of his life I've seen in a minute. But I still these wins are good for us because it just builds a little bit of more momentum, especially when I look at our fixture list coming up after international break. Everton away, Galatasaray away in Champions League. Then we got Newcastle away, St. James Park under the lights. Then we have, I think, Bournemouth. Then we have Liverpool. We have Chelsea after on that. So that's going to be a tough game because Chelsea, like I said, always get up against Big Six opposition. We have Bayern Munich and Liverpool in the same week. West Ham away right after that, which is so it's a lot of tough fixtures.
They are hard, aren't they? Jeez.
They're very hard. Obviously, Lissandro and Luke Shaw's coming back, I think, after international break. That's one good thing because I don't want to see Sergio Reguilon ever again in my life. I'm sure Jacob probably agrees the same thing for his club. Can you take him back, by the way? I'll give you him back for free.
I mean, we ain't even got another left back on
So
the
you could
menu. So
you could have him. You could have him. I
but
do not want him back.
he's
I
one of
don't
those
want him
guys
back.
that Ainge didn't want. He saw 45 minutes versus West Ham in the preseason and
You
said,
sure? You
never
sure?
again.
Nah, I'm
and we
good.
shipped him out as
Sure.
soon as we could.
Because he's so bad, brother. He can't cross the football to save his life.
No, he's so bad. Y'all liked him
but-
for a couple games, though. So did Spurs fans.
Yeah, he had the passion. He was playing for his 10-day he was playing for a 10-day contract in basketball. That's what he was trying to do. But I think with United, Ten Hag, obviously we have the ownership that's getting kind of dealt with as well, which is meant to go on a positive route because Ratcliffe's things about it's supposed to get announced this week after the funeral service tomorrow for Sir Robbie Charlton. So I think that's going to bring a little bit of positive spark to the club. New ownership, well, not new ownership, but like new people in the front office in terms of like the board. Like Richard Arnold's supposed to get the boot, John Murray's supposed to get the boot. Paul Mitchell's supposed to come in, who I rate as a sporting director. I know he used to work at Spurs under Poch as well, so maybe Jacob has some like pass with him as well. I think that kind of thing can bring a positive spark. And I think Ten Hag last year we showed that we can kind of get the results. I kind of like in these wins against Luton, the Fulham, the Sheffield. Last year after we got beat by Brentford 4-0, like we beat Liverpool and then we got like the 1-0 against Southampton, then 1-0 against Leicester City, the 2-1 against Everton at Goodison Park where Ronaldo scored a goal. Those kind of wins, I think Ten Hag is kind of going back into that mentality. Just win. Forget about performances right now. Just get the results because, like, we look at the table, us being 6 shows that this Premier League season has been so weird because any other season, Man United should be like 12. We should be where Chelsea were last year because we're playing as bad as they were last year, in my opinion. We look horrible. Yeah, if you look at it, we're 6th. We have some injuries that we have to get that we're gonna get some people back, and you never know if we have a really good December. Come January 1st, when the transfer window opens, we could be in the top 4. We'll be right back in the thick of the top 4. Anything can happen after that because I think we're going to spend in January. I think we're going to get one center back in January and maybe one like cheap striker like a Taremi from Porto because Højlund definitely needs someone. So I think it's been a mishwash like season, but I think I'm kind of been a little bit more optimistic lately that I think we can get top 4. Obviously, we're only like 7 points off City, but I'm forget about that. We're 6 points off Liverpool. But I think right now I'm looking at that top 3 for me cemented. Not in any particular order, but I think that's going to be like the 3 teams that are guaranteed to finish top 3, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. But I look at Villa, once that Conference League schedule starts coming in a little more heavier in February, that's more games. If we finish 4th in our group in Champions League, which I really want to do right now, I know it's going to like sound weird because obviously we're big Man United. We should be aiming for top 2. But if we finish 4th in our Champions League group, we're out of Europe. That's 1 game a week. That allows more training on the pitch, on the training ground, which means Ten Hag has more time to implement his tactics because last year we played the most games in Europe. We even played more games than the treble winners, which is crazy to think about. We played that many matches last year. We were in every competition to the final except Europa League. So all those matches, I think, didn't allow him to implement the system that he wanted to right away. Like Ange has more time to implement his system right now, which we saw in the beginning of the year. Ten Hag didn't have that.
Poch
so I think Poch too. So 1 week, if we get 1 game a week football for the rest of the season, I'm very, very confident that we'll finish top 4. But if let's say we get into Europa, then now I'll go a little way because that Thursday, Sunday schedule is horrible. I hate it with all my. I do not want to hear whoa, whoa, whoa. I hate that song.
I agree. I think that Europa's dead, man. You know what I mean? And that's why I called Brighton, man. I called Brighton early saying I don't think Brighton are going to have a great season because
the Derby, I think, is it 2 wins in 10 games now. They're in terrible form. They're falling off the cliff too. So I think United I have to see where we are after Galatasaray. Obviously, if we beat Galatasaray, then we could beat Bayern Munich at home, for example. That could easily happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we did do that. We're such a weird club. We'll lose to Copenhagen and Galatasaray, but we're somehow snatch a win in Turkey, which I think is the most hostile atmosphere you can step into in world football. And then Bayern Munich, they already won the group, so they might rest a couple of players because they don't have the strongest depth team either. If you look at their squad, 1 injury to Kimmich, and you're playing some under 17 in the midfield, so they're probably going to rest a couple of players. So we'll never know. But if I just want to finish 4th in my UCL group, get me once a week football, get Ratcliffe in, get Paul Mitchell in, and start looking at scouting for the winter. Get a couple players in the winter. Doesn't have to be big money. I'm not asking for like Ivan Toney, like maybe like Arsenal might be looking for. I just want another striker that can take the pressure off Højlund because he's clearly feeling it because he's basically starting every single game for us, which I don't think he was meant to. And get a center back in. Rafael Varane's meant to be leaving soon. Thank God. Casemiro, adios. Al Hilal. I think Ronaldo's recruiting his former teammates. Thank you for that. Thank you for your service. And go get me some younger players that aren't injury prone so we can start doing more. And I think we're in a better position than maybe a month ago, I would say. I think these last 4 wins, obviously, they aren't pretty. No one's entertained by Man United right now. We're ugly to watch, but it's a results-based business at the end of the day. I just want results.
No, it's a madness, man. United, I don't know how they're looking actually that good in the league. You know, only 1 loss given what's happened in the last couple of weeks. But we are going to wrap it up, guys. big up to everyone that has joined the stream. All three of these guys' links are in the description. So just go and subscribe to every single one of them. Make sure you subscribe to More LB, the second channel as well. Big up TJ for coming on, bro. You got anything coming up on your channel, man?
Big up, yeah, man. Thanks. Not too much going on over the international break. I'll be playing some EAFC, streaming some of that, but I will be doing our normal American Idiot show Friday at 9 p.m. We got a lot of really good guests coming on that show. We got Lee Gunner in a couple of weeks. Like we got that's our flagship show over on TJ Warren TV Friday nights at 9 p.m. And then you can catch me and Jacob tomorrow on Staffy TV for our weekly American Waffle show. So if you liked the banter that you saw here, go over to Staffy TV, hit the sub, go here, hit the sub.
I'm even more shameless over there.
If you want to go ahead and
I'm even
if you want to
more
go ahead and
shameless
hit
over
the
there.
sub, if you want to go ahead and hit the sub for Jacob too, I guess that's okay. Sub obviously to Griggsy as well. And thank you for having me on, LB. It was awesome to be on here, man. Thanks.
Nah, I appreciate you jumping in. Jacob, man, you're going over to Hassam's channel. This is football. We got a redirect on there, but what's going on with your channel, bro?
Well, normally I like to do vibes from the day after, but obviously the vibes from the day after of yesterday is not very good, so didn't do that today. But tomorrow I will do the 48 hours. What are the vibes like? Because they could be a little bit more immaculate. 48 hours as opposed to 24 hours after what I witnessed. Again, I woke up at 5 a.m. for that. I was very upset. I'm still angry. But hey, that's not what's coming. Yeah, 5:05 technically is what my alarm was set for, and then I wake up and I see a picture of Eric Dyer in the starting. Hey, it's the Spurs admin used his photo on the graphic to announce.
That's the
Bro,
worst.
waking up and seeing that face. I thought I was confident. Every show I had gone on, I said 2-1, 3-1 Spurs. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to look to respond strong. You know, even with Eric Dyer, we're going to defend from the front. And then I see his face, and it just like my first emotion at 5:07 when I saw his face was, yeah, we might lose today. I think we're going to lose. And what do you know? But that has nothing to do with my channel. I should be plugging my channel, but big up everybody. I'm slowly approaching 3K over there on the sub mark for United Spurs America. I appreciate anyone. I enjoy all the banter. I always tell people I'm like a tennis ball. No matter what you throw at me, I bounce right back. It's always football. It's only football, so I don't get too upset. Obviously, as a Spurs fan, I need to be able to live day to day with failure. So I'm used to it. Ain't nothing you could tell me I ain't heard or felt. So
big up, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you having me on.
What's going on with your channel, man?
First of all, thank you for having me on. Nice to meet you as always. My Twitter, first of all, I'd like to plug that. I'm almost at 1,800. At Michael_Griggs26, where I talk pretty much everything sports, not just football, basketball, stuff like that. And if you're a United fan, I'm sure just get into a debate with me because they hate me on there, so it's fine. And then Griggs Talks on YouTube. I think I'm at 188, so I'm close to 200. So it's like 12 away. And this upcoming is obviously international breaks and not much football to talk about, which means I'll talk about basketball, which is low-key becoming my favorite sport because this football thing is low-key getting – Man United had kind of ruined football for me for like a month. So basketball, even though I'm a Knicks fan, which isn't always the happiest thing, but
man's just changed sports. Is that what you're saying?
He's changing full sports. He's jumping. He's jumping the ocean.
NBA. International breaks, so time to plug some basketball because my basketball team's doing good. So at least they're bringing me some happiness in my life. So I might as well promote them more than Man United right now. So make sure you subscribe to me on there.
Big up, man. Big up. Listen, lads, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. If you're watching back on replay, give us all your thoughts in the comment section below. Player ratings are live. They were done earlier on. So go check out that video. And, of course, the watch along is there if you want to check out the goal reactions. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll catch you in the next one. See you in a bit.